the attempt, I guess it's now a 3 or 4 month saga that started with the president expanding his deferred action on deportation for immigration, or for immigrants, I should say, executive order in December, was it, or November, when the Republican Party was basically saying, like, this is the end of our democracy. We are really going to take a stand here on this. This is unprecedented, even though it's not.
Never use executive orders and signing statements and stuff.
Right, and it's unprecedented, even though it's not technically, but the spirit of unprecedentedness is certainly around. And so we got the Cromnibus, which was a budget resolution, a budget that funded just about everything except for Department of Homeland Security. That was a continuing resolution which had to be voted upon this week. There was a question as to whether or not there would be a clean bill out of the House. We got a bill to pass the budget, but totally defund, I guess, the immigration services. I'm not even exactly sure how that was structured. It failed in the Senate. The Democrats basically said, we're not budging on this. And the Republicans caved, and it's almost as if none of this ever happened. I mean, we're 2 days away from this, and it was a complete capitulation.
Yeah. Rather amazing that the saga's carrying forever. You did see what Ted Cruz had to say, didn't you?
I didn't see him. Tell me.
It was fun. He's always fun. Well, he just, he's talking about your favorite man, who I think you call Mr. Bonaire, if I remember correctly.
I believe he's a French-Canadian descent.
He is. It's a quality. He's like Wayne LaPierre that way. Quality name. And he, of course, was ripping into his own party for saying that basically that they'd taken a hostage that they were never willing to shoot. There was no plan B, you know.
Right.
For once, he may have had a point. I hate to ever admit that Ted Cruz has a point about anything. Sometimes when I accidentally end up on the same side of an issue as he does, I'm actually a little bit ashamed of myself. But in that way, I think he's right. You know, I mean, it's sort of like these guys. I don't even, you know, it's what we've always said. There's no long-term plans here. They're just being a bunch of obstructionist assholes, and there's frankly, you know, so let's cause trouble whenever we can because it gets the base happy. So really, if we can just get in the way of any legislation, you know, I mean, there's no multi-dimensional chess here. There's just a couple people trying to block everything that's good, to make hay out of things that are stupid, to claim Obama's a dictator, and then to go do stuff. But I don't think they think about, you know, what are the eventual implications. But then again, you know, Ted Cruz is a guy who had no plan B to shutting down a government. So I'm not sure, you know, that's the guy you want to go to on this stuff. But, you know, broken clock and all that stuff.
Well, what I find really fascinating as to what's happening now is there is a piece in The Hill, which is, you know, sort of most normal people don't read The Hill. It's people who are, you know, interested in sort of the inside baseball of politics. And there was a story where Democrats are basically, I guess, were interviewed, various Democrats in the House were interviewed as to whether or not they would vote to help keep the Speaker Bonaire, the Speaker. And it's fascinating to read these quotes because on one hand, right, so people should understand what's going on here. There is talk of a coup to oust John Boehner. Now, I don't think that anybody takes that coup terribly seriously. There's only 50 or 60 of the Tea Party caucus in the Republican Party in the House. I think people would vote him out if they thought there was someone to fill his place.
I think there is.
Who's that? Scalise?
Bibi Netanyahu.
Yes, exactly.
You have to remember, technically in the House rules, the Speaker of the House doesn't actually have to be a member.
Really?
I do think they have to be an American, though, would be my guess. But if not, I don't know. I think Bibi would take that job. He looks like he may lose in Israel now. He may have some time on his hands.
Oh, God, that would be so awesome just to float that. Because all that seems to be going on here is that people are basically just sticking it in the face of the Tea Partiers. This whole piece is Democrats saying, like, oh, yeah, we'd vote to support him. And Pelosi saying, well, I'm not going to say anything because that would poison the well in some way, which is basically like saying, of course I would vote for him. This is just a way to basically incite all those people who listen to Mark Levin's show or Laura Ingram's show to get them to write more letters about how Boehner has thrown in with the Democrats. It is fantastic to watch how this is melting down. And really, on some level, the Democrats are driving the agenda to the extent that one can by not having no control over either house. I guess in the Senate, you could argue they have a filibuster.
True. But they were people in the past who were often hesitant to use it, and I think a lot of that came from the top, that they weren't willing to do certain things. I don't think any of us believed that they would show, 1/100th of the spine they've shown. It's I have to give credit where it's due. It's been a little bit amazing to watch.